Oprah Winfrey, what happened to you? Instead of asking yourself what's wrong with you or why you are behaving that way, you can ask yourself a better question, which is the title of the book, What Happened to You? Diving into the book, let's go. 1 hour and a half into the book, I actually enjoy listening to the book. I just see right now all the amazing things that I have in my life that I have because of my parents. I'm actually more grateful and at the same time have more understanding about other people's lives, other people's experiences. And also I just learned that Oprah teamed up with Bruce, and Bruce is not only a psychiatrist, he's also a neuroscientist. So he gives a very nice, short, to the point, succinct explanation about the structure of the brain, also the ideas and how our brain works. Halfway through the book, I really enjoyed the book. I'm making notes. I don't forget stuff. I think about stuff that I want to share with my friend. She has challenges with her children, and I think this book is very powerful. So far, it actually delivers on its promise. The title of the book and the subtitle are on spot. Conversation on trauma, resilience, and healing. What happened to you? One thing they share, neuroplasticity, our ability to change our brains. I love that as a good reminder. It reminds me of things that I learned in NLP, which are actually tools that you can use. I cannot not think about David Goggins and David Goggins' book, an amazing example of someone going through these traumas and actually healing himself and creating his own self-reliance and resilience. So David Goggins is in my mind reading this book a little bit because he sort of went through these things without the professional help and still made it through. And wow, I really enjoy the stories, the specific breakdowns, the explanations, especially the explanations from Dr. Bruce Perry. I really like his breakdowns, very scientific. He also goes back to practice. This is the actual solution. Practice using specific techniques, of course, to create different neural associations in our brain, and this is the actual way to treat trauma. Even though they don't go into actual techniques, I still find the overview very valuable, very informative. So also here they mention the love as the action and being attentive, as I think read in Stephen Covey's books, I think 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the definition of love as a verb. And then it connects again to how you were loved, which is a good thing to, I think, reflect on your childhood, on your relationships when you were younger, to understand how it is affecting you right now in your life. I think it's an amazing reminder for parents to give the gift of your attention to your children. Probably the best part in the book so far for me, Dr. Perry shares a very touching story about interviewing a 3-year-old after going through a traumatic event. His sister was abducted in front of his eyes, and then she was killed. And then he was sent to actually talk to this cute Joseph. The way that he communicates with the child, and he opens up a conversation with him, gradually creates a connection, and he does it very fast. It's not through weeks or months. I think it's one meeting that he had with him, but snippets of 5 minutes interactions. He tells all the story. I think the value here is far more than just how to treat children with trauma. It's how to connect with people. I think this is extremely valuable and practical for teachers, for anyone that is working with kids, especially one-on-one and maybe find hard ways to connect with them and gain trust. Just this example, he shares this story, amazing. So I just shared with you the story that Dr. Perry shared about getting in touch with Joseph, the 3-year-old that went through this trauma. He shared a specific idea that short snippets of 5 minutes instead of long therapies has the same impact. So it just got me to think. Talking to my nephew, just 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there is extremely powerful. So I want to make it more frequent. And just, I don't know, half an hour ago, I checked my phone. I saw probably a message from my nephew. He's 4 years old. And it's a good opportunity for me to create connection, even if this is just 5 minutes. Tom, I'm calling you. So near the end, quite excited about this book. It exceeded my expectations by far. The only criticism that I wasn't sure was, I felt at times that the only solution is to go and get professional help. And I think immediately, well, most people don't have access to professional help. So what would they do? So this is question, probably the only criticism I have about the book. Actually, they answer this question without answering the question. They answer the question because they present so many examples, detailed examples of people going through trauma, going to a therapist, but they say what they do. And they give so much relevant information, so you can easily implement it on yourself, with your child. So many tools that you can actually use. And if you have access to a therapist, this is not enough. It doesn't start or end in a 1-hour therapist session. I also keep thinking about friends of mine. I start thinking I have much more empathy to the way that they behave and overall empathy. I just understand how complex the human brain is. I finished the book. Wow, it wasn't what I expected. It felt as if it's like an end of a movie, but in the good sense of it, it ended with a boom. I don't remember any self-help book that ended like that. I actually cried, I think 3 times throughout the book. Last part I also cried. Oprah Winfrey got to me. Wow, very powerful. She's extremely honest, sharing her life story as well. Super open. I didn't expect this book to be so powerful on so many levels. The knowledge, the practical tips, the reflection. It got me to reflect about my life, about my own experiences, even though I don't see them as traumas, but the things that I can do with my addictions, with my challenges. Also thinking about most of my friends, and not just them and their children. I actually kept thinking about the importance of them reading this book. My own experience, I love the stories, I love the message. Loads of practical things that I can actually implement in my life. A lot of amazing reminders of the amazing abilities of our brain. Things that I learned in self-hypnosis, things that I learned in NLP, other things that I learned in hundreds of other self-help books. This book summarized them extremely well, always with the neuroscientific angle from Dr. Perry. I also like the structure. It was very easy to listen to. I find it hard to think about people that I won't recommend the book to. The thing with trauma is as they explain this book, is it's not necessarily whether you had trauma or not. Each one of us had some traumatic events in their lives with different severity levels. Things happen to us. This is the summary of the book. Things happen to us. Whether you call them traumas, whether you call them difficult situations, things happen to us. And they will never go away. But we can use them, we can utilize them, and we can work with them, we can understand them, and grow and move forwards. They don't need to be burdens. I think the last sentence of the book was nice.
What happened to you can be your power.
Always when I look at the book, I think about knowledge versus power. Extremely high on both. Extremely high on both. A lot of knowledge, a lot of tactics of how you can work on yourself, how can you work with other people, how you can listen, what is listening, what is trauma. They dive in, they give you loads of knowledge together with loads of examples, and the examples themselves actually reveal the tools, the thing that you can actually use with people. Even when it's with children, they emphasize, yes, Oprah and Dr. Perry, they emphasize that you can still do these things with adults. It's the same. That's it, knowledge versus power. A lot of knowledge, a lot of power, and I was actually amazed by the book.